Well, I'm fighting this thing, man. I kick ass. Well, kiss ass. And I'm busting heads. It's the only way to win this fucking war.
Universal Soldier was released in 1992 and directed by Roland Emmerich and stars Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren as two Vietnam soldiers who were killed in action and are reanimated by the military as two deadly super soldiers. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason and you're watching Backtrack Cinema. This is where we talk movies of the past that you know and love. And welcome back to the Alphabet Action Movie Challenge. We're on the letter U and we're doing Universal Soldier, man. I believe I had a couple of you in my comments wanting me to review this one, so here you go. We're going to be talking Universal Soldier here. So hit me up in the comments. Let's talk Universal Soldier. Let's talk Dolph Lundgren, Van Damme, sci-fi action. Let's talk it all about this movie, all that jazz. As you all know, for the letter R, we did RoboCop, and I feel like this movie, Universal Soldier, is playing around with a lot of the same themes, a lot of the same ideas. You know, these two soldiers are basically these Frankenstein monsters who are stitched back together and reanimated, brought back to life with these suppressed memories and trauma. And because of their trauma, one went fucking nuts with Andrew Scott, played by Dolph Lundgren, and the other one just wanted to go home, and, you know, that's his motivation, just going home with Luke Devereaux, played by Jean-Claude Van Damme. And really the whole theme of the movie is this dehumanization of the military by using dead soldiers. I guess the dead cost nothing, but playing God, using them as scientific experiments, all that kind of good stuff. So there is some stuff to chew on here, a little bit of something to say, but still wrapped up in this great sci-fi action summer blockbuster. And I really believe they get the tone really consistent in this. They're having a lot of fun with this. Now, I think Roland Emmerich as a director handles this movie, handles the action really well. He's clearly got skill at shooting action. We've seen that with Independence Day, the disaster movies. I could have used a little more character work in this, given the themes they were going for in this, but the way he directs action is really good. And I really, I still think, you know, probably his most creative, his most unique, and his best work is probably Stargate with Kurt Russell. I've always really enjoyed that movie. And I do enjoy this one. I'm not the biggest fan of his disaster movies, and what the Moonfall came out not that long ago. I didn't think that was good at all, but he definitely, I think in his early years, I don't know, I thought he was better, to be honest with you. I find the pacing decent enough in this, except the middle of it. The middle I find drags on a little bit too much, where they take too long of getting this information. We're supposed to find out this doctor, and we're supposed to find out, you know, how these dead soldiers, these super soldiers, have been reanimated, and the whole process they did of doing that. I feel like it just takes too long to get there, and where you could have thrown some more action in and kept a more summer blockbuster action pace going. There's a really good opening to this that really sets up the conflict of these two characters, where we have, you know, Private Luke Devereaux, Sergeant Andrew Scott. Dolph goes nuts. He's been in the war too long, and he thinks everyone's a traitor. He ends up killing a young Asian woman and a young Asian boy, and, you know, Van Damme tries to stop him. They essentially kill each other, and that's where their trauma is, and where this plays effect at, you know, the end of the movie too, where Andrew Scott is on a freaking rampage, man, thinking this is like 92 now. He's been reanimated, but he has that trauma. He thinks everyone's a traitor, and he just wants to wipe everyone out. And it was great to see Van Damme and Dolph in their prime in a movie together. Like, not now, but in their prime. They did a movie in their prime together at the height of their popularity. Van Damme coming off Bloodsport and kickboxing. Dolph Lundgren, as we know from Rocky IV, then he did The Punisher. Shared the screen with Brandon Lee with Showdown in Little Tokyo, which is a nice little cult classic film that I really enjoy. And I really like Dolph. And to see them in their prime is awesome. If we would have got Stallone and Arnold in their prime in some kind of a movie like this, that would have been awesome. That was a huge missed opportunity back in the 90s to see those two together. But I'm glad we got to see Dolph and Van Damme in a flick together. It's really nice to see. If we talk Luke Devereaux in this, played by Van Damme, I don't think this is Van Damme's greatest character. After all, he's a reanimated soldier, so he's trying to figure out how he fits into this world and everything like this, but I don't think it's his greatest character he's ever played, but he's fine. He's really fine. He's got some good comedic moments. I like him in the beginning of the movie with when you find out as Luke Devereaux, you know, where he's alive, and there's this diner scene that's all made for laughs where he just keeps eating and eating and eating, and the cook keeps bringing food out, and he has no money, and you know, it plays out a lot like Kickboxer when he's drunk and dancing and he fights. He gets into a big bar fight here and everyone, and he's just like, I just want to eat. I think it's kind of funny. I feel like there's a little Superman influence in this movie where Luke goes back home and he's from a farm, and you know, his parents, they look like, they feel like they're Jonathan and Martha Kent, you know what I mean? And I think their name is Jonathan and Martha. I think there was an homage to that in this. And then you got this reporter played by Ali Walker. Her name's Veronica, the character in this, and she's very tenacious, high strung reporter, like a Lois Lane. That's the first thing I thought about this character, is like, she's like a Lois Lane. And if I remember correctly, when this first came out when I was like 13, I had the hots for Ali Walker. I'm not gonna lie, I thought she was pretty smoking hot back then. I think she's entertaining. She's there for a lot of comic relief, but she's not just a damsel in distress in this. They actually make her do some stuff, you know, when there's this big long chase scene between Dolph and Van Damme, and she's throwing bombs out the freaking window. It's set up for comic relief, but she's doing things, or where she's, you know, she gets physical in it when she has to. There is a little bit of damsel in distress about her, but I think she's highly entertaining. I think she played the role really well, brought something to it. And the military frames her for the murder of her cameraman, which she didn't do, obviously. And so she's out for justice, kind of, and all that kind of stuff. So I think Ali Walker did a great job in this movie. Easily the most entertaining part of this film for me is Dolph Lundgren as Andrew Scott. This guy has physical presence. And they both do. Jean-Claude does too. Eats up all the screen time. They give him good enough dialogue to chew on, to run with, you know what I mean?
Well, that's the spirit, soldier.
I believe Dolph had an acting coach on set. He really wanted to give it his all and create like a really good villain. He did that. I think he's really entertaining. Dolph Lundgren, he just really has a lot of command on the screen. When you give him the right director, he can create really good characters, like the way Stallone used him in The Expendables and Rocky IV, and the way Roland Emmerich here uses him in this. Let him run with some really freaking wacky dialogue. He does have his own charm and his own charisma that, you know, fans come to love Dolph for, including me. I'm a huge Dolph Lundgren fan. All the fight scenes between Dolph and Van Damme are great. You're gonna eat all that up. It's really entertaining to watch. Universal Soldier is a great time, guys, if you like the action genre, sci-fi action. If you're a big fan of the Van Damme and Dolph, you're gonna eat this movie up. So I'm gonna give Universal Soldier from 1992 a B-. Well, I thank you guys for joining me on this review. Go down the rabbit hole, check out my other reviews I've done for the Alphabet Action Movie Challenge. And my name is Jason. You're watching Backtrack Cinema. I will see you next time, and I will see you in the movies. Cheers.